Was the biggest issue that you had before we started working together?
Um, I would say probably just how I thought about stuff in general. I didn't consider myself a negative thinker, but at the same time, I don't know if I actually believed as much as I believed, because I could work as hard as possible with that mentality, but I'm not sure that I believed as much as I thought I did. And then I know when so yeah, that's before we started working together. I felt like I was good in a good place, but then as we did start working together, I realized a lot of things that, at least a few things that I did not pay attention to, and they were so important mentally, and actually those things mentally also affected me spiritually. Yeah.
What were some of those pieces to the puzzle, like as they started to come together, where you kind of realized, like, hey, I need to think about things a little bit differently?
Well, I remember one of the first times we spoke on the we had a call, and we were talking, and I was like, well, I don't know about doing mental coaching right now, because I feel like I'm not in a place where, like, I've made it to any level where I can, like, be doing stuff like this. And I remember you saying stuff like that. You said that's exactly the reason why we need to do it. Some, like, I'm paraphrasing, but and that stuck with me because it made me think to myself that in my mind I've always been waiting for results to justify what it is that I'm doing, instead of just acting as if I was already that person. I was already that person in my mind. And from that moment, actually, I started to think about things differently, to be honest. I started to almost like live as if I was already who I want to be, and I would say, like, the most significant thing, really, like, there've been lots of things that you've said to me that really have helped me mentally, but the most significant thing that sticks with me to this day, that every day I use, is when we had a conversation, and you said, you asked me to write down what I wanted to achieve this year. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I've heard people say this all the time, like, write it down and stuff. I was like, okay, cool, sure, let me do it. But then you asked, when I said to you what it is I wanted to achieve, and you were like, do you think that you could do that? And I was like, yeah. And you were like, that's not a big enough dream or goal. I was like, okay. So I wrote down what I thought I couldn't achieve. But I kid you not, the thing that amazed me about that is that I don't know what it is, but I also feel your belief in what you say makes a difference. Because I've heard people say things like what you've said before, but you actually sound like you believe what you're saying. So when listening to you say that resonated with me. So, like, every day after that, like, after what I wrote, I would look at it, like, every day. To this day, I still do that. I look at it and I'm like, I'm writing stuff, I'm thinking and I'm writing stuff based on what I wrote, like, about my life and everything. Even though I don't have those things now, I'm like, my mind is shaped that way. Like I'm going to get it for sure. And I noticed that after thinking like this and writing stuff every day based on those lines and operating that day, whether it's in training, whatever I do, even if I'm not in training, I'm still thinking these things. I noticed my mind change. And then, really, like, it was incredible because my mind changed and then my spirit changed. Like, so it's a point where what I was saying in my mind not just became a thing I'm saying in my mind. It's like I actually, like, it's me. Like, I really believe it. It's like, so that's like, it was so powerful for me, and I reflect on that a lot. Thinking about that, I couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, how I could, my whole perception of being could change just from looking at things differently, and just, like, repeating it over and over again. And I think, honestly, that's like such, you can't even imagine, or maybe you can, I don't know, but you can't imagine how much that's made a difference to me in life, not just in athletics, like doing athletics, like in life in general. Like, my perception of things is so different. I believe I can be whatever I want to be. I just need to decide to do it in my will, and then I just hammer down in my mind, or, like, in my spirit, repeating whatever it is. And, man, it's made an incredible difference to me. You can't imagine. You can't imagine.
So what's that difference like now in life compared
I
to where we
feel
were before?
I honestly believe, not just that I feel, I know that I'm more a complete man than I was. You know, walk around feeling feeling spaced out or feeling, sometimes you can go through life and you're almost feeling like you're in your own world and your own bubble and you're so disconnected and you somewhat feel like an outsider. And I am pretty sure I've been going through life feeling like that a lot of the time, but now I feel so confident about everything. Like if I always talk about having confidence in God, but me saying those things that I believe God wants me to do made me really have that confidence. So it's like even more. So it's like I walk around and live my life knowing that I don't know. I just feel it's different. It's as if I feel more complete as a person because my whole perception of my life is it's also it's like I've realized the power of my will. I didn't realize how powerful my will was. Like to say I'm going to do something and like I'm going to do it. Like I didn't really understand how powerful that was until recently in my life, especially like I said, after having that conversation with you and then going through the practicing it like for a while, looking at what I'm writing and like reinforcing it. And then you spoke about having a creed and whatnot. And I watched the video you sent me, and I didn't particularly have a long creed like I can't remember his name in the video, but I didn't have a long creed like his. But I just took something simple that I know I would remember all the time. Something very simple in my life, and I see it every day, literally every day. Like it's right in front of me every day, and I'm saying it to myself every day. So I cannot really explain to you. I'm such a different person because of it. You know, my whole world is shaped around my belief. You know,
I love it. I
incredible.
love it, man. Dude, you're getting me fired up just talking about it.
I'm like, you got me fired up.
Oh, dude, I love it, man. It's always great being with you. And one last question for you, Gideon, right? So for anybody who's watching, right? If there's one piece of advice that you would give somebody else, maybe they're not sure if they want to do mental coaching or if it's right for them or for their team, what would you tell them?
I would say honestly, don't get too caught up on yourself. I mean, don't be I wouldn't even say arrogant, but don't think that there's nothing you cannot learn. Like I initially at the beginning, I was like, I mean, before, and I remember Antonio was telling me about mental coaching with you, and I was like, man, that sounds cool, man. I was like, the mental coaching, man. I was like, I don't have a weak mind. I was like, I don't want to be like, oh man, one of those guys who's like, oh, I have to fix my mind or something. And it's like it was the wrong way to think about it. And I feel like a lot of people may feel, at least if they were like me, they may be feeling like, now I got it, I'm good. No, there's always so much you can learn, and that's what amazed me when we started working because I was like I think subconsciously I thought I knew stuff that I didn't know. You know what I mean? It's like you think you know, but you may not really know what you think you know? And I think anybody who hasn't tried it like has to be open to actually learning and understanding that, whatever it is you're doing in your life, like there are aspects of your life, like there's the physical aspect where you're training your body maybe or whatever. And I learned from you while I was talking to you, like that the mind is also just as important. It's also you need to train your mind just like you train anything else. And I never thought about that before. Never. I just used to think about it like, okay, I need to do this. I'm going to go do this thing or this action. But even how I work out has changed because it's like in my mind, I remember you posted something on the edge and you were talking about like going to workouts and whether it was like transactional or intentional. I remember seeing that, and I think you posted a video on TikTok, and I was like, that really resonated with me because like, you can go, I could go to the gym or go to the track and work so hard, but it could all just go like a blur, like just like that. And I started implementing things where it's like I'm thinking about why I'm doing what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Like while I'm doing, and it gives me more power. You feel more power, and you're more there. Anyways, my point is, I feel like anybody who hasn't tried something like this, they need to open themselves up to actually being the best of themselves because unless you go through the process and really examine your mind, you don't really know who exactly you are. Like you don't even like even now, I know more than I know, but I know enough to know I don't know enough. So it's like I'm still willing to learn more and more and like, even get stronger in my mind, which I know will then affect my spirit and vice and it comes back. That's how I feel about it. And that's what it's been for me. So I really want to encourage anybody out there to not have like I said, I don't want to call it arrogance, but to be open, especially people like me who are like very reserved, because I'm not. I think that was also one of my issues. I'm not used to like, I don't know, like being open that way, with people and stuff. But I feel like people who are like that need to give it a shot. I really would encourage anybody out there listening to me to like give it a shot, like to try mental coaching with you, because honestly, it may feel uncomfortable at the beginning when you have to like adjust and do things you haven't done, at first, but then there is a reward for it. And I mean, if you stay in your comfort zone the whole time in your life, you're probably not going to go anywhere anyways. So that would be my advice to anyone who's out there who has a similar temperament to me.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I love it. One more question I just got thinking of, right?
Right.
If you were to put a monetary value to it, how much value has this brought to your life?
Oh man, I don't think I can put a monetary value on it, because for me, like, and you know me, how much I value spiritual things, and for me, like my spirit changed. And I am telling you seriously, sometimes I think about it, I was like, that conversation, I never expected to have a conversation with you that day that would make me think about stuff like every day for months afterwards. And I can't explain it, but you can't put a monetary value on it, because you can't. You just can't. Like for me, it's like, oh, I'm a different, my being is different. So I can't put a money, it's like, no, I can't. I don't know. It's difficult for me to put a monetary value on it. I think for anyone who is blessed, like I've been blessed, and they go through the process and they get to see it, they would probably say the same thing. It's hard to put a monetary value on things that are deeper than materials than the surface, because I'm sorry, Cody. I don't know how to give a monetary value on
No,
that,
you're
because if
good, dude. I
I'll
love it.
say,
That's
you know what I'll
perfect.
say? I'll say in terms of the spiritual reality of what I've gained, priceless. It's priceless. I'll
I
put it
love
that
it,
way.
dude. I love it, man. Well,
Priceless.
hey, thank you so much for your testimonial. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, dude, it was awesome.
100%.
Awesome.
100%.
We got
And,
to
and
get
just
we got to get you on a podcast.
yeah, but just to encourage what people out there again, like I really genuinely mean it. Like you may be thinking that you don't need any of this stuff and whatnot, but at least listen and see, because man, you never know when you're gonna get something that's gonna just trigger you and
Yeah.
change your life and your perception of things. And for me, that conversation we had, and you telling me to write down stuff like that, and then for me to be looking at it every day, man, it changed so much more than just like athletic stuff, which is what I was thinking about initially. It's like my whole perception of how I live my life has completely changed, completely changed.
I love it,
And
man.
I can't thank you
Yeah.
enough for that. I really believe God used you like so much to be a blessing to me, and man, like God bless you, man, because um and you know me, sometimes I'm not even in the mood to like talk. I'm being honest with you. Like sometimes
Yep.
I'm not even in the mood to talk to people. And I remember, if I remember correctly, that day when we were having the conversation, I probably was in one of those moods where it's like, man, today I just want to stay on my own. I don't feel like going anywhere, talking to anybody. I just want to do my own
Yep.
thing. But I felt, and I know whoever's listening to this, you may not be a believer. It doesn't matter. But I'm just a personal thing. I felt in my spirit like, man, you need to talk to Cody, and I didn't feel like talking to anybody. And I remember feeling like, man, you need to talk to Cody. So I was like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
No, cool. And I remember just
Yep.
being so blessed by it, man. And guys, Cody is the best, man. I mean, this guy has taken so much time out of his life, and I'm serious, taken so much time out of his life to like reach out to me, reach out to my boy Antonio, and like just be there 100%, man. And I think honestly, it's always good to have somebody who's like really wants you to win in your corner. So that would be my last thing to say to you guys. Like, don't miss a good opportunity.